Get on your phones, search the internet, and Scooby-Doo this crap. Alright, gang, let's see who the werewolf really is. Andrew Garfield. And I would have got away with it too if it wasn't for them bloody online leakers, that's for true. Welcome to 5 Points of Articulation, where I review action figures and then articulate 5 points to help you decide if you want to add that figure to your collection. The 5 points I discuss are packaging, presentation, poseability, playability, and price. I'm Jason, and if you enjoy my content, please like, share, subscribe, do all the YouTube rigmarole. Today, we're taking a kind of overdue look at the Marvel Legends integrated suit Spidey from Spider-Man No Way Home. Starting off the packaging, and we see the typical Marvel Legends window box. In this case, it unfortunately spotlights just how little you're actually getting. Shot of the integrated suit on the side, and another one on the back. Spider-Man gears up in his integrated suit to bravely confront a new threat. The Build-A-Figure, of course, is Armadillo, and here's all the other figures you need to complete him. So far, we've also looked at Miles and Shriek. And for those who want it, here's the UPC. For packaging, I'm giving Spider-Man 1 whole point. Moving on to presentation, and Spidey stands at 5 3/4 inches. Going into this figure, and I was expecting a lot of reuse from the Far From Home figure, but that was absolutely not the case. The reuse actually comes from Homecoming. It's hard to see because of the way they're painted, but they have the same hands and also the same feet. Otherwise, this is a completely new sculpt. Looking at the contours of the web lines and just the overall shape, you can see that even the heads are new. In that regard, I'm actually pretty impressed. And zooming in, I do really appreciate all the different layers of the lens. And one thing I appreciate in particular as compared to the Far From Home suit is the matte finish. I absolutely hated how glossy this thing is, and this one is much better. The matte finish red and gray really helped the metallic finish Spider to stand out. And on the subject of the gold, Hasbro did a really good job going in to paint all those details. I particularly like the line work on the back. Moving on down the arm, and not only are the web shooters gold, but there's also a little blue light on them too. All the panel lines for the legs have been added, and there's some gold trim around the tops of the boots. And possibly most importantly, both the knees and elbows are pinless. To my knowledge, this is the first completely pinless Spider-Man that Hasbro has made for Marvel Legends. Unfortunately, that's where my gushing ends. For all the time and attention that Hasbro paid to the gold detailing, once again, the web lines have been left unpainted. I'm gonna level with you. I actually don't like this costume. In fact, it might be my least favorite live-action Spider-Man costume ever. Even so, I recognize that Hasbro did a great job of sculpting it and also with some of the detailing. It makes it just that much more disappointing that they didn't take this figure all the way. For presentation, I'm giving integrated suit Spidey 1/2 point. Moving on to poseability, and Spidey's head's on a dumbbell joint, looks up this much, this far down, mind the gap, really great tilt, and all the way around. Swivel hinge shoulders raised just under 90 degrees, forward and back with the butterfly joint, bicep swivel, again pinless double jointed elbows, and swivel hinge wrists. Down this much, and in spite of the web shooter, up that much. You see, what if Spidey? It can be done. Moving on down, and Spidey has an ab crunch, arches back that far, and hunches over that far. Below that, he has a waist swivel, and then below the waist, he has ball jointed hips. Almost perfect spread. They kick out 90 degrees, and then moving down the leg, he has thigh cut, double jointed knees, and Marvel Legends ankles that hinge and pivot. For all my criticisms of this figure, you can't deny its awesome amount of articulation. For poseability, I'm giving integrated suit Spidey 1 whole point. Moving on to playability, and as we've already seen, he comes packaged with a pair of fists, but he also has a pair of whip hands. Also, be very careful because the web shooters are not glued in, and they will absolutely be ant-made by your carpet goblins. Too soon? But playability is more than just accessories, or the lack thereof. It's also about how well your figure plays with others. Here's a new integrated suit with Spider-Man Homecoming and Spider-Man Far From Home. Seeing them all together in Far From Home definitely sticks out like a sore thumb. For an interesting MCU oddity, here he is with the Spider-Man from the Civil War 3-pack. This was a very rough figure and infamously inaccurate from what we saw in the film. For another MCU Spider-Man, here he is with Zombie Hunter Spidey from Marvel's What If, going back to the classics, and here he is with the original Toy Biz Tobey and the Marvel Legends Andrew. Here's the entire Spider-Man trinity all together. For a villain comparison, here he is with the original Toy Biz Goblin, Norman Osborn, Dr. Octopus, and J. Jonah Jameson. For a kinda sorta cinematic Sandman comparison, here he is with my simple John Cena head swap custom. For more on that, check out my video on using Scarlet as the Black Cat. That said, if you want to see him with a strictly comic version, here you go. On the subject of comic versions, here he is with Electro, Dr. Octopus, Green Goblin, both of these are Toy Biz by the way, Lizard, both of these are Toy Biz too, and Venom. This one is by Marvel Select and is my current favorite version. For a probably going to be a villain at some point in the movie's comparison, here he is with Hobgoblin. This happens to be the Toy Biz version, and aside from the ball-jointed hips and skinny legs, it is more than fine for me. For a should have had his lines painted in comparison, here he is with Shocker. For a comparison to the other Armadillo wave figures that we've looked at so far, here he is with Shriek and Miles Morales. Keep Miles in the back of your mind by the way, because we're going to talk about him again in the next category. For a comic style comparison, here he is with Pizza Spidey and the Retro Card Spider-Man. For a 7-inch scale comparison, here he is with the Marvel Select Spectacular Spider-Man. Just look at all those beautiful painted in webs. And lastly, here he is with Stealth Iron Man? I'm absolutely Stealth Iron Man 100%, governor. You gotta believe me. If you think I was lying, it's just a Photoshop. With no other characters from Far From Home available except for J. Jonah Jameson and Doctor Strange, there really aren't a whole lot of other figures you can put him with, and with so few accessories, the action figure photography options are pretty limited. On top of that, he doesn't include any kind of Build-A-Figure piece to compel you to buy him, so if you're not a completist or just don't like this look, you can absolutely pass him by. For playability, I'm giving Integrated Suit Spidey half a point. This leaves us with nothing left to discuss but the price. Miles Morales retails for $22.99 and comes with 2 heads, 8 hands, a Build-A-Figure piece, and beautiful painted on webs. Oh, I'm sorry, wrong review. Integrated Suit Spider-Man costs the exact same amount of money and comes with none of that. Seriously, would you even believe that these 2 figures came from the same wave? And I am not slamming Miles Morales. If you saw either my review of this figure or my top 10 2021 Marvel Legends, you'd know I love this figure. And I know that I'm not usually this negative, but this is Spider-Man, my favorite superhero, the star of a movie that has made $1.7 billion and should be the definitive figure of this version. And instead of being the highlight of his own wave, he's been treated like an overpriced afterthought. For price, I'm giving Integrated Suit Spider-Man half a point for a grand total of 3.5 out of 5. Check out this video on Miles Morales for a superior Spider-Man, not to be confused with, Superior Spider-Man, or check out this video on Scarlet Bordeaux and see how she can be a live-action Black Cat. How do you like the integrated suit, and how does it rank against other movie costumes for you? Sound off in the comments below. Thank you so much for watching. I'll be back again real soon, but until then, play nice and have fun.